Are you building a pipeline? Now, one of the things we touched on the other night was hauling buckets and building a pipeline. And I didn't want to go into it a lot because I knew that the video explains a lot. We're going to watch a portion of a video, okay? And I want you to listen carefully what he says because it's very impactful, and then we'll talk about it after.
Back in 1999, I was going to college. I read a book, and it had a very impactful story that stuck with me ever since then. In fact, I was going to school to be a dentist. And when I read this book, I actually changed everything that I was doing and realized that I was actually going to school to haul buckets. Now, what I mean by that is this story. Basically, there's this guy. He lives in a village. The village is a couple miles away from the closest water source. And his job basically was to put a yoke on his back, hitched to 2 different buckets, and he'd make this hike every day. He'd fill his buckets up with water, walk back, and every day, all of his inventory was sold out. Everybody wanted what he had. Everybody needed what he had. He had an incredible job security. And if he wanted to make more money, he'd just simply make more trips. He would go back and forth as many times as he could, and every time he went back and forth, he'd make more money. And anyway, that's how he provided for his family. That's how the village got water. Well, another guy sees this and says, man, I want to take advantage of that because that guy's got perfect job security. Everybody needs his product. And so he fashions himself a yoke, puts a couple buckets, and starts making trips the same as this other guy. Just like the other guy, everybody needed his product. He's making a good living. But what he ended up doing is, instead of making multiple trips per day, he would basically make one trip, and then he'd take whatever extra time he had and start building a pipeline. I guess you could say he was working full-time on his job and part-time on his fortune. Well, one man was hauling buckets back and forth, making more money than his friend. He worked day and night, night and day. First, hauling buckets to make sure his family was taken care of, and then working nights and overtime trying to figure out how to build this pipeline, overcoming the concerns that he had to deal with, the rocks in the ground. He spent the time doing that to build this pipe consistently and persistently over time. Well, a few years later, he finally finishes the pipeline, gets it to the village, and eventually turns on a spigot. Now, at this point, everybody in the village can come and get as much water as they want. It's cooler, cleaner, fresher, better than the water he was hauling with buckets, and cheaper. Everybody could get it much more affordably. And he did this. He not only built an actual pipeline that was a pipeline of water, but he also built a financial pipeline, something that would pay him and his family and take care of his needs for the rest of his life. And that's basically what I realized when I was reading this book, going to college. I realized I was going to school to haul buckets. I wasn't building a pipeline, something that would take care of me and allow me to pursue my greater causes and higher purposes in life. I was basically working for money. And so basically what I did from that point on is I changed my career choice, and I've always tried to build pipelines. Over the last decade, every business venture I've gone into, I've tried to structure it in such a way. I had a software company recently, a marketing company before that. But every single one of these companies had something in common. It was an attempt to make a pipeline, and some of them were very successful. Some of them were spectacular failures. But either way, my pipeline, what I was trying to do was create this pipeline. Well, as I started building a doTERRA business, when I got introduced to this, I immediately went right back into, okay, this is a pipeline. It's obvious how this is a pipeline. We create a residual income, something that when we're done, we turn on a spigot and we can provide for our family for a long, long time. I notice, however, when I watch people build this business and other businesses that are in the network marketing world, that sometimes they're experiencing this pipeline peace of mind, and sometimes they're not. I also see people who think that they're building a pipeline, but actually are hauling buckets under the delusion that they're building a pipeline. And so one of the things you want to be careful of when you're building your business is just making sure that when you're building a residual income, when you're building this pipeline for you and your family, that you're engaged in the activities that are actually pipeline activities. And those are 4 things, 4 simple activities that if you're doing those 4 things, you are building a pipeline. The first one is finding, contacting, inviting, getting people to come and hear your message. That can happen when you create a names list and you start calling people and inviting them to a class, or if when you want to go and share a one-on-one presentation. It doesn't really matter. Either way, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're engaged in contacting, inviting, finding people who may be interested in essential oils and natural forms of healthcare, and creating pipelines themselves. The second activity is the activity of teaching. Teaching a class, teaching people how to use essential oils, teaching people how to become independent in their healthcare and their finances. That is another activity that you can do. The third activity is enrolling. And that really can be summed up in one word: follow-up. Are you following up with the people that came to the class, or that you shared the presentation with, or the people that you contacted and couldn't make it to the class but expressed interest? Are you following up with those people, and are you getting them enrolled as wholesale members, as IPCs, and enrolled in the idea of the business? The fourth activity is, are you duplicating yourself in another person? And if you're really good at the first 3 and you're not doing step number 4, duplicating yourself in the people that you've taught, then basically you're still hauling buckets. You think you're building a pipeline, but actually, since you've never duplicated yourself in another person, you've never laid one pipe. You're digging a ditch, you think you're getting there, no pipe is laid, no water's flowing. And so you've got to duplicate yourself. Now, the thing that's interesting about step number 4 is that it is attached to the first 3. Everything you do in finding, teaching, and enrolling need to be so duplicable that another person can do them. So you're one of the things that's interesting about building a doTERRA business is that a lot of times we think that we need to be really super impressive. The interesting thing about this is we don't need to do that. The products are so impressive that really what we need to do is we need to find, teach, and enroll in a manner that another person should look at that and say, if he can do this, I can do this. That's the idea of becoming duplicable, duplicating yourself in another person. And as you do that, your organization will start to grow because they feel like they can do the activities you're engaged in. They start teaching that to other people, and then they duplicate themselves in them. When I build my business, when I teach a class, one of the promotions I give is if you sign up, if you enroll, and you enroll on loyalty rewards, so you have an order that's coming the next month, then I'll give them a free book. Now, the reason for that is because I'm investing in my pipe. I'm laying pipe right there. And every time I can get somebody to get on loyalty rewards, especially if they try the Lifelong Vitality, I know I've got water that's trickling through there every single month as a result of that. Now, I taught that principle to other people, and they said, wow, I got to recoup the cost of this book. And so what I'm going to do is I went to their classes, and they said, anyone who buys a large kit gets the free book. And they didn't include loyalty rewards. And I just kind of looked at it and thought to myself, why are you hauling buckets? Loyalty rewards is what's creating the pipeline. Getting people to reorder your product is getting people to build a pipeline. Now, there are other things that people say all the time about that this is a scam, and so I'm not going to do it. And I go, okay, well, you can just keep on hauling your buckets. Or they'll say, I enjoy hauling buckets because the trip isn't that far, and every time I haul a bucket, every time I pull a tooth, I'm making a lot of money. Every time I, operate on this person, or every time I'm an attorney, every billable hour, I'm making a lot of money. Well, that's fine. It's just that unless you're there drilling the tooth, doing the activities of an attorney, or whatever it happens to be, you're still hauling buckets. In other words, you can't ever step away and just turn on the spigot and go and pursue your greater causes and higher purposes in life. And so why is it that people don't build pipes? Sometimes it's just they're flat out lazy. I like to haul buckets because I can turn off my brain. Other times people don't want to build a pipeline because they can't find something that they can do that in. So, for example, opportunities to build a pipeline outside of doTERRA. Maybe it's, I want to get into rental properties, and people think, I don't want to be a landlord. I don't want to deal with leaky faucets and leaky roofs or tenants that don't pay. And so they don't want to go down that road of building a pipeline. Other people might say, well, I'm going to do this by building a business, but then you consider corrupt partners, investors who come and take your company from you. There's a myriad of things why people are afraid of building a business. And we've all know about the small business owner who has a dream of creating a pipeline, and then they end up working incredible hours. Look, I'm one of those people. I had lots of employees, went a year and a half without being able to take a paycheck for my own company because I was paying it to my employees with the attempt of building a pipeline. It's hard. It's really hard, and it costs a lot of money. And so that's another reason why people are afraid to build pipes. But when it comes to doTERRA, why don't people want to build a pipeline with doTERRA? Well, a lot of times it's the negative stigma that comes with network marketing. And they think, no, this is a scam. Or only the people at the top make any money in that. Or this is just overpriced products because all network marketing are overpriced products and they're just selling an opportunity. And I don't want to pressure my friends and I don't want to engage in this. I hate sales, all of these things. But the thing that's so great about doTERRA is that it allows you to build the financial pipeline without the risk of opening a business and dealing with the incredible amounts of stress of trying to make payroll every other week, which is what I experienced for years. So there's all sorts of reasons why doTERRA is a fantastic place to build a pipeline. And I'll tell you why I've chosen doTERRA for my pipeline. After it's all said and done, why I chose to use doTERRA as my vehicle to build a pipeline. Number one, the cost to do it is almost nothing. I mean, compared to conventional business, building a doTERRA business is literally, it's your sweat, it's your effort, it's your ability to take rejection, it's your willingness to keep going, it's persistence. That's the price. And every other cost of doing it, the cost of getting oils and things like that is so menial in this that it's almost non-existent, because especially when you compare it to, you know, my experience in business in the past. The other reason I chose doTERRA is because this is a $1 trillion industry. One thing that's important about building a pipeline is you want to do it in an industry that can influence everyone. One thing that I did not quite understand when I started doing doTERRA is the fact that this is not the essential oil industry. This is the healthcare industry. This is a $1 trillion industry. I mean, think about that. How many $1 trillion industries can you name off the top of your head? Power and energy, automotive, you know, cars, planes, transportation. I mean, healthcare is one of them. 1 out of every $6 is spent on healthcare in the United States. 1 out of every 6, which basically speaks to 2 really important things. Major inefficiencies in our current program, in the current healthcare situation, and an incredible opportunity with so many people who are dissatisfied with it. And so when I first got into doTERRA, I kind of thought I was getting into the essential oil business. I'm not. I'm in healthcare. I'm offering people a viable alternative to that. And as a result, it applies to every household, every person, everyone who wants to take care of their health, which basically is everybody. And in those ways, it's so easy to build a pipeline in doTERRA because it applies to everybody if you're willing to put in the work. Okay, so now what I want to do is get back to the 4 critical skills that you need to master: finding, teaching, enrolling, and duplicating yourself and others. So when it comes to finding, I think this is the hardest part, honestly, about building a doTERRA business, is you getting over the fear of calling people and then getting other people over the fear of calling people. Calling them up, hoping that they'll be interested in what you're doing, and in particular, the anxiety and fear that comes with calling somebody up and hoping that they're not offended that you called them because you're talking to them about something that is associated with network marketing. You know, that whole anxiety that comes from that. So what can you do to make contacting easy? Well, first of all, there are 3 doors. We call them the 3 doors of openness, okay? 3 doors that everybody has to walk through. The first door is, are you open to learning how to use essential oils as a viable alternative to healthcare? Okay, so first door, are you open to learn? That's it. Are you open to learn? Then door number 2 is when they come to a class, we're teaching them about the products, things like that, you know, teaching them how to use the products, the benefits of essential oils, how to use them to take care of your family. So the second door is, now that you've learned, now that you walked through door number 1, are you open to using the products? So door number 2, are you open to use? Then the people that are using, or the people that say, yes, I'm interested in using, the third door is, okay, now that you've learned, you're using or want to use the products, are you open to share? Are you open to share those with them with others? And ultimately what you're really saying is, are you willing to share them with others and start building a pipeline for yourself?
Okay. Now, I don't know about y'all. I'm going to bring this back, hopefully. Okay. Are you good? Can you see me? Miriam, you can send me a little note on my phone and make sure everything is still all right. That to me was eye-opening. And I am going to go back to my PowerPoint in just a moment because a couple of the other things, and we're going to talk about quickly, and then I'll be here to take questions for anyone that has them, is just being willing. What he's talking about at the end, being willing to, number one, learn something different, but to use what you learn and then to share what you learn with someone else. And that is building a pipeline. Let's flip back over. Whoops. Let's flip back over and let's get back to the PowerPoint because I want you to see this next slide. And once we finish these few things I have, we will take whatever questions y'all have. All right. So what is a bucket? Thank you, Miriam. A bucket is your retail sales. Okay. If your goal is to see how many people can I get to do preferred member, just to sell to them at the retail price so that I make the 25% profit. And if you see this right here, you see that retail profits 25% versus the wholesale cost. And that is hauling buckets. So how do I build a pipeline? Okay, building your pipeline is building this power of three, which is one of the second ways that you earn income from doTERRA. So they're encouraging you to build the team that's going to give you the pipeline, and they're going to pay you along the way. The compensation plan with doTERRA is better than anything I've seen in any other direct sales company. Okay, so you start out with you, and we talked about this a little bit Tuesday night, but once you have three people, okay, that have committed to building a business, so they're going to have the arms wrapped around the little person, means they have 100 PV order always ready in their loyalty reward program. That's what that means. If it's only one arm, there's only $50. $50 is fine for the person because they're going to continue to grow their loyalty reward discount. And that's great. But that is not a business builder. That is a user who wants to earn a bigger discount. Okay, so they're going to grow their discount and they're at 50. Once you have both of the arms, you have 100 PV, and that is a person who is wanting to make the most out of it. So they are users that are either for sure a builder or they're a potential sharer. Okay, and the reason that you want 5 to 7 is because you don't really know for sure until they show themselves if they're going to enroll people under them or not. Okay, so if you have 3 that you have the arms correct, you want 5 to 7 of these before you start taking people that enroll under you and moving them down. So already on my genealogy, on my graphic tree, there are people that have enrolled under me that I have moved down under someone else who has already shown me that they want to be a builder. And some of these I know are going to be builders, which is great because then I know it's going to build farther down. Okay, so your front line, you're going to have a lot of buyers, which is great, and that is wonderful, but we're talking builders here. So you have more than 3, okay, but these 3 are the ones that are building their 3. And you don't want to start putting people that enroll under you under them until you have 5 to 7 of these with their double arms. That's $50 a month on a bonus just having these 3. And remember, we talked about the power of having each of these 4 people, you and these 3 included, committed to 150 to make sure that you have this 600 team volume and you get this 50 back that you're committed to, because that's the extra you spend that's the bonus amount, 50. Now, once these 3 each have theirs, then you're at the $250 a month just on the power of 3 bonus, comes once a month, just because you've made it to this level. That is really not that many people. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 people that are builders, okay, or at least 12 people that are committed to 100 PV. Now, that's potentially, more than that, obviously, with the others. So the next thing he talked about on building, because what this is about building your pipeline, is training, supporting, and motivating your team, being duplicable. So I'm already looking at these 3 on my team, and I'm already thinking in terms of who on this am I duplicating myself in? Who am I making it easy? If you look in your Dropbox, and I don't, obviously we're just getting started a couple months in, but everything I'm doing is geared towards you have easy access to something. You're not having to reinvent the wheel. Here's a graphic. It doesn't have the personalized information in it. You can put that in yourself. I've already done it for you. I've already built the rest of it for you. What can I do to make it easy for you so that you can build your 3 and they can build their 3? So everybody that I put down team from me, I think in terms of how can I make it easy for them to reach their goals. All right, speaking of goals, that's the next point. Reaching goals such as the power of 3 structure. One of your goals should be that I have my 3 and I help them get their 3. And I am even going to continue down to this 4th. It's the 3rd and 4th level, these right here. I can continue down to help them build their teams. Now, Jackie says that you don't really go below the 3rd and 4th level, and that is a great guideline, because by the time you up here have helped these and you've been duplicating yourself in these 2 layers right here, these people are also doing what you're doing, and it's going to happen for itself. It's going to happen on its own. It's going to build itself. All right. But this one right here, this is your real meat and potatoes. This is where your serious pipeline comes from, because by the time you have got these layers down here, levels 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, these percents, okay, there's only one of you, and you're talking about a handful of people on your front line, and they're only the smallest percent. 1 and 2% is what you're getting off of those. When you get down here where your exponents have shown you that now your largest portion of your tree is 7 layers below you, and that's where you're making 7%. 7% of your 7th layer that is exponentially larger than your front line is a whole lot more money than a larger percent off of a smaller number of people. That's why this company is different than every other direct sales company that I've looked at. Okay. Now, let's look about what does that actually mean? What is this pipeline? These are just averages, okay? It could be more, it could be less, depending on your own team, your own additional customers. But you're looking at executive. That's what people come in, first move up to, okay? You come in as a consultant, and you get to move up manager, executive. And at executive, you're looking at about $200 a month on average. And for most people, they stay there about 3 months before they're moving on. Now that's, I won't even say most, that's an average, okay? I am flying past that, all right? I made Elite last month. I didn't realize it until the very end of the month, but it was 2 months, just under 2 months. It was really about 6 weeks when I hit Elite. And that's $300 to $800 a month, depending on how your team is structured and who you have where. But I'm not staying there for 6 months. I'm moving on up to Premier and Silver. All right, 1,300. Let's switch on over to this next one. Okay, this is 2013 average earnings in doTERRA. So Silver, average earnings in doTERRA, $26,000 a year. That is a significant difference. That is an entire second income. That's the kind of income that makes a difference in people's lives on a big level. And that's only Silver. I mean, that's literally only Silver. Gold, okay, an average earnings of $57,000. Average per month is almost $5,000 a month. You're talking about replacing someone else's income, either the husband replacing the wife or the wife replacing the husband or whatever. Platinum, diamond, blue diamond. Let's just look at Jackie. Jackie is blue diamond. She was featured in this month's issue, this quarter's issue of The Living on doTERRA's magazine. And they are looking at, on average, now I don't know where she is exactly, but this is the average, is pushing $500,000 a year. She did that in 10 months. Not everybody's Jackie. Not everybody has a mega blog that's already popular. I'm not saying that, but guess what? We fall under Jackie, and we are very close to her. Okay. So we are in her range that she will help us build our team. That is exciting news for you, because that means when she says to me, hey, Catherine, who do you have that's a builder? Because I have someone that just enrolled and I need to place them somewhere. I need to have someone to tell them. I need builders that I can say, hey, look, I've got these 2 or 3 people, could be any one of those. This one, she's enrolling, she's holding classes, I'm training for her, whatever it is. That is exciting, because that means we've got a superstar for help, in other words. Okay. There's presidential diamond showing here at $1 million, well over $1 million. It's $1,370,000. That's over $1.25 million. However, there is also double presidential, and that happens with the number of legs that you build. And there are no limits to how many legs you can build. That's just the highest that they've had, because doTERRA started in 2008. So you're just talking about people that have gotten that high up so far. Double diamond. All right. New products, abilities, and structuring coming out. This image came from Jackie. She's in leadership conference right now this week. And some of the things that they're doing on products, ability, and structuring is incredibly exciting. Okay, the ability to customize a vitality pack, choose and customize, okay, for your dietary needs. Now it's going to start in April 1st, right? But you're going to be able to choose and customize these packs. In the past, it's only been one specific pack, and they're going to allow that. But that is just a drop in the bucket. All right. Products, enrollment, they are no longer going to be requiring Social Security numbers until you have hit $400 in earnings. And then if you want that paycheck, then you give your social. Okay, so that's nice, because a lot of people are hesitant about the Social Security number. Just in a short thing for those that are just beginning until that takes place, it is a very easy, true statement to tell people that what happens is it's the same first step for everyone. If you're ordering wholesale just for your own use, or if you're planning to build a business, it's the same first step. And all that means is that when you get to the point where you've got earnings, that doTERRA, as any other employer does, sends your earnings to the IRS for your taxes. And so all it means is that you'll receive a 1099 from them, just like you do if you do any other kind of consulting work. I've had many of those. Very simple thing. And the reason that they need your social is so they can send that to the IRS when you're making that much money. Now, once this comes out, not only will it be that you don't have to ask for a Social Security number, they're going to do that on their own when they hit $400 if they want that paycheck, but it's also going to be available in an enrollment app you can use on your phone. So, no more having to, how many laptops do we have available for a class? How many people do we have with a smartphone that has an app? And you will be able to enroll people right on your app. They're also coming out with sample sizes. The share program has been revamped, and there's some new products that are for lower credits. I did the math. If you saw that post recently, actually it's just about a week and a half ago, I did the math on at what point is the share program worth it. And you need several more than what I had. And at that point, I was at roughly 12 enrollees. So it was going to take more than that, and they're making it more doable with the share program. All right. Last but not least, next week, we're going to take a peek at, next week is going to be about products. I just put up this interesting little tidbit. How many lemons does it take to make one bottle, a 15 milliliter bottle of essential lemon oil? 45 lemons go into one bottle. The numbers are staggering when you look at it. 30 pounds of lavender flowers make one 15 milliliter bottle. I mean, I visualized that in acreage, and it's like, wow, really? I mean, that is amazing. That's huge. Okay. The Melissa plant, which is actually a more expensive oil than even frankincense, only comes in the 5 milliliter bottles, and it takes 1,000 pounds of Melissa plant to get to 15 bottles of the 5 mil size. All right. So anyway, interesting. Now Cindy's going to teach next week on products. So we'll be ready for that, and we'll announce when that class will be very soon. The following week, I'll be back with business, and I'm going to teach on 6 things never to say, either in one-on-one consult or in whether it's one-on-one consult or if it's in a class. Okay, so you'll be happy to have that. Now, just remember that your classes, don't be worried about those. There's several things to take care of. Number one, you have me and Cindy. We're happy to teach your classes until you're confident with that. However, there's also Class in the Box, and there's also Natural Solutions. The Class in the Box you can order through doTERRA, right in with your regular order, your LRP order. You don't get any PV out of it, but you get a lot of value out of it. So you have 10 bottles that you can use for giveaways or the hostess gift. It's Wild Orange, which I have been loving getting this month. I got it in my LRP. Also, you get all the products you need for like the magazines and the TerraPads and the hostess's invitations for her to give. So you have a lot of good quality items in that Class in the Box. But the biggest thing is the DVD. So if you're not comfortable teaching that class yourself, which is not hard to get there, How to Close a Class video is phenomenal. And I have all the packet of information already in our Dropbox. So you just listen to her over and over and over and work on your timing and your wording, and you'll be good to go. But if you don't want to do that, you can always use the DVD, pause it in those places that you need to pause. Okay, now I know that we don't have the video, so Miriam, if you have any questions, just message me. I'll be able to see that right here. And just getting that set up so I can see you come in. If there's any questions, and I was so happy to have you join us, Joel. So it's good to have you. I'm loving it that we've got our first couple team right here. And yes, I'm just calling you that all out in advance. You can call it, I won't call it prophecy. I'm just not quite that bold, but you know, it's a look into the future. So if there's any questions, let me know. Otherwise, that's it for tonight. I hope that y'all got a lot out of that video. Okay. If you didn't, rewatch it. This will go up on YouTube. I'll put it up and put the link in our group. There is another 15 minutes on that video. The whole video is worth it. We will watch the second half of that video down the road. Okay. So that's it. It's a wrap. Miriam, I don't see anything from you. I'm not sure who the other one was that's viewing and not being able to use the video. So if you have a question, don't hesitate to chat in and it will show up. It should show up right over here. Let me pull up chat and make sure there's nothing there. Okay. Well, I'm not seeing any questions, so we're going to go ahead and go. And we did get a late start, but we're still wrapping it up in the 30-minute time frame. That's my goal.